Okay, get ready, because today we're doing a deep dive into the world of wholesale merchants in machine tools.
The people who keep the manufacturing world running.
Literally.
Yeah.
And you know what? After exploring RoleCatcher, a go-to resource for career insights, I realize this is way more interesting than I thought. We're talking lathes, mills, grinders, the heavyweights.
These are the machines that build everything around us.
Exactly. From cars to smartphones, it all comes back to these machines. But I have to ask, where do these massive machines even come from?
And that's where our wholesale merchant comes in. They're the crucial link between the companies making these machines and the manufacturers that need them.
So not just some desk job then.
Definitely not. Forget about stuffy offices. You could be on a trading floor in New York one day, then in a German factory the next.
RoleCatcher even mentioned a wholesale merchant going to Japan to inspect cutting tools before they went to a client in Brazil.
Exactly. It's a very global role.
Okay, I'm already feeling the travel bug.
Yeah.
But let's be real. It can't be all glamorous trips and big deals, right? RoleCatcher hinted at a pretty demanding side to this world.
Oh, absolutely. It's fast-paced, high-pressure, tight deadlines, tough competition. You constantly need to be ahead of the game.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like trying to convince a client to invest in a new laser cutting system when they're still using outdated tech, you'd need to be very persuasive.
You have to know your stuff, that's for sure. And you need to be able to explain it in a way that makes sense, even to someone who doesn't live in the world of machine tools.
So what does a typical day even look like for a wholesale merchant in machine tools? Is there even such a thing as typical?
That's the thing. Every day is different. You might start by analyzing market trends from your home office, then jump on a video call to negotiate a huge deal with a manufacturer across the world.
And then,
Later, you could be on a factory floor inspecting a shipment of grinding machines to make sure they're perfect, that they meet the client's exact needs. RoleCatcher stressed how important building and maintaining relationships is in this role.
so we're talking technical expertise, market knowledge, and people skills all rolled into one. No wonder RoleCatcher listed active listening as a top skill.
Absolutely. But we've talked about how exciting this career can be. Let's get into the realities, the pros and cons. Let's start with the good stuff.
You mentioned high earning potential. How high are we talking, really?
Well, RoleCatcher's data shows that a successful wholesale merchant in machine tools can earn a very comfortable living. Of course, it varies based on your experience, location, and what kind of machines you specialize in, but six-figure salaries are definitely not unheard of in this field.
Wow, okay, that's definitely a big pro. But big rewards usually mean big challenges. What are some of the downsides that someone thinking about this career should be ready for?
Six-figure salaries do sound pretty good, but I guess it's not all smooth sailing, right? I mean, RoleCatcher didn't exactly sugarcoat the demanding parts of this job. Yeah, you're right. It's not all fancy trips and closing deals. You need to be able to handle pressure and adapt to whatever gets thrown at you. Remember we talked about the market going up and down? Well, that's a huge part of this job. Economic downturns, global uncertainty, even new technology like automation can all affect the demand for machine tools.
So it's not enough to just ride the wave. You have to see what's coming next.
Exactly. A good wholesale merchant isn't just reacting. They're out there looking for new opportunities, understanding the trends, sometimes even showing their clients why they need to upgrade to the latest machines. It's kind of like being a detective. You're putting together clues from everywhere to figure out where the industry's headed and how to stay one step ahead.
That reminds me of something else RoleCatcher mentioned. Social perceptiveness. Sounds like you got to be good with people, not just machines.
That's so important. You're dealing with all kinds of people, from engineers on the factory floor to CEOs making big decisions. You have to be able to read people, understand what they care about, and adjust how you talk to them. Remember RoleCatcher's example about the wholesale merchant going to Japan? Well, knowing how to act in a Japanese business setting was just as crucial as the technical details of the machines.
That's really interesting how this job mixes technical stuff with cultural awareness. It's like being a global representative for advanced manufacturing.
And speaking of technical know-how, let's talk about some other skills that are essential for a wholesale merchant to succeed. Remember how we were talking about being persuasive? It's not enough to just be a good talker. You need to be able to explain complicated technical stuff in a way that makes sense, even to someone who's never even seen a factory floor up close.
So you're like a translator then, bridging the gap between the machine world and the business world.
Precisely. One minute, you could be discussing the precision of a CNC lathe with an engineer. The next, you're explaining its return on investment to a CFO. It's a balancing act for sure. You need to be comfortable with both the technical side and the financial side of the business.
It sounds like you're always learning in this field.
RoleCatcher really drove that point home. They said continuous learning is key in this job. The world of machine tools is constantly changing, new tech coming out all the time. You need to be a lifelong learner, always ready to learn new things and stay ahead of the curve.
So how do you even get started in a fast-paced world like this? You don't just wake up one day negotiating a multi-million-dollar deal for a robot welding system, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me. So how does someone break into this world? RoleCatcher talked about a typical career path.
It all starts with entry-level roles, like an apprenticeship.
So you learn the ropes, pay your dues.
Exactly. You're supporting senior team members, learning as you go, and gradually taking on more responsibility.
Okay, so for someone just starting out, fresh out of college maybe, what kind of things would they actually be doing?
It's all about building a strong foundation. You might help with market research, figuring out who the potential clients and suppliers are, or gathering data on industry trends.
Lots of learning on the job.
Yeah, shadowing more experienced people, getting a feel for how everything works.
RoleCatcher had that example. The young professional who started in research and worked their way up to handling negotiations.
Right. It's a good reminder that there's definitely room to grow.
Definitely. So let's say you've put in the work. You move up to junior wholesale merchant. What changes then?
Now you're getting more responsibility. Those skills we talked about, like active listening and being persuasive, that's where they really come in. You're the one talking to clients, understanding what they need, and then presenting solutions.
No more hiding behind spreadsheets.
Well, not quite data's still important, but now you're using it to make decisions, to find those opportunities, and build a good case for your clients. Remember that junior merchant role catcher mentioned. They saw a need for a specific grinding machine, a gap in the market, and they used their knowledge and persuasion skills to convince a supplier to create a whole new product line, which ended up a huge success.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So steep learning curve, but big potential rewards. To become a full-fledged wholesale merchant, what's the next step?
This is where you go from just supporting deals to leading them. You have a deep understanding of the market, you've got a track record of closing deals, and you can handle complex negotiations.
And you're building your own client list at this point.
Exactly. Building relationships, becoming a trusted advisor. You're not just making deals, you're responsible for making them profitable. If you consistently exceed expectations, you're on your way to becoming a senior wholesale merchant in machine tools.
Okay, now we're talking about the heavy hitters, the strategists.
Yeah, at this level, it's bigger picture thinking. You're spotting long-term trends, developing those key partnerships, and mentoring the next generation of wholesale merchants.
What a journey. From data analysis to shaping the entire industry. It's incredible how far you can go.
And it's a career that's not going anywhere but forward. Technology's always advancing, the global market's always shifting. The wholesale merchant and machine tools, they're going to be right there adapting and growing.
So anyone listening who likes the idea of using their expertise, seeing the world, and making those high-stakes deals, the world of wholesale merchants and machine tools might be the perfect fit. And remember that question we had about automation and AI? Here's something to think about. What if, instead of being afraid of those advancements, wholesale merchants could use them to their advantage? Use them to boost their skills, reach even more clients, and become even more important in this constantly changing world. That's something to ponder as you explore this dynamic and exciting industry.